and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this job. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named...
Here we go. Welcome back. On the show today, I got the same shirt on, I think, as I did Friday. That's all right. We are here. It is National Championship Monday. Why in the hell are we still having the game on Monday night? It's a terrible night to have the game. I don't know who at the NCAA decided that it would be a good idea to have this game on Monday nights. It used to be cool. It really did. When I was a kid, you know, you have the basketball championship on Monday night. That was cool, even though it starts at 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And we got the national championship here going down in about 56 minutes. We'll be with you guys for the next 36 minutes or so leading up to the game. I got a jiu-jitsu tournament coming up, my first competition in my life, my first jiu-jitsu competition on February 7th. So I will actually be at jiu-jitsu class from 5:30 to 6:30. I'm going to miss probably an hour of the game. And it's not like the NFL setup where if you have NFL Plus, you can just watch the game on your phone. It's not that way with college. So I probably won't make it back to the house until like the end of the half or something like that. But, you know, we're here, we're living. We got the national championship tonight. Apparently, Indiana Hoosier fans have absolutely flooded Miami. And I don't want to come at this from a hater perspective, but I saw pictures of IU Stadium right before the first game in the Signetti era, and the stadium was empty. Now, you got your fact checkers on Twitter saying that it wasn't real and all this stuff, but there's definitely a narrative right now that Indiana fans are fair weather. I'm not the one saying that. I'm just perpetuating what others have said. Don't shoot the messenger now. Don't do it. But I figure we'll spend a lot of time talking about that game. There's not really much to talk about, guys. It's if my keys to the game for the U to win is simply number 4, Mark Fletcher, the running back for Miami. I was at the game last Thursday, the Fiesta Bowl. You see the cup. I was there last Thursday, Ole Miss versus Miami, and of course I was biased. Of course I go with Ole Miss because of the way they played up front against Georgia, and they played well up front against the U. They got pushed. They were meeting Mark Fletcher at the line of scrimmage, but the thing about Mark Fletcher for Miami that I think is going to be a really big deal tonight is, can he keep those legs churning for 4 to 6 yards just like he did against Ole Miss. It absolutely was killing the Rebels play in, play out. Every time you handed Mark Fletcher the ball, it seemed like he was getting 4 yards, 6 yards. A lot of people are putting this on Carson Beck. Carson Beck, the most tenured quarterback in college football. All this media around him this week. Everybody and their mom in the media saying that this game's going to be up to Carson Beck. I think it's going to be up to number 4, Mark Fletcher. Is it going to be important for Carson Beck to make some big throws in this game? Absolutely. He made some big throws in the game against Ole Miss. Keelan Marion, the receiver out there, I think he's brothers with an old teammate of mine, was a huge factor in the game against Ole Miss week before last. So really what I want to talk about, guys, what I want to talk about around this national championship is how disgusting it is that we have this game on a Monday night after all of these amazing NFL storylines hit the waves this past weekend. Here's my proposal, and this is probably the part of the show today that I'm going to clip. Here's my proposal for college football in regards to the national championship. It's fine that it falls on the weekend of NFL divisional games. That's fine, okay? This weekend you had 2 divisional games on Saturday. You had 2 divisional games on Sunday. Have the national championship on a Saturday, just like any old normal college football game. Have the division game, the first one, have it early, maybe a 1 p.m. The second one, have a middle slate, an afternoon start, maybe 4 or something like that. And then you have the college football national championship on Saturday night of the divisional rounds. It'd be perfect. It'd be perfect. I was watching Feinbaum today, and he didn't even come up with that. Okay? Have the national championship on the Saturday night of the NFL divisional round. Have your 2 divisional games on Saturday. And then you have the college football national championship prime time. I don't know why it's not that simple for college football, but nothing seems to be that simple for college football. They simply cannot get out of their own way. It's a bunch of stale old people up there that refuse to change with the times. That's all I can chalk it up to. Have the national championship on the Saturday night of the divisional weekend in the NFL. Look, if Indiana blows out Miami tonight, you kind of have to put them up there as one of the best college football teams of all time. I'm reluctant to do so. It's a hell of a story. It's absolutely, I don't think they have any 5-star recruits on their team. It's a bunch of old men, 24, 25-year-olds beating up on these high-profile high school recruits. That's all it is. It's like in AAU basketball when you play against, it's like a 13, 14-year-old league, and you have a team of 16-year-olds that all got held back in school or whatever, gave the AAU league the I am 12 birth certificate or whatever. That's the advantage that Indiana has. They got a mental edge. I know for a fact that at 25, you think about males and their frontal lobe being fully developed. It's a real thing. At 18, your decision making is not going to be as good. Your emotional maturity isn't going to be as polished as you are when you're 25. I think that's the real advantage that this Indiana Hoosier team has and has had all year. And I think Kurt Cignetti's smart, and he knows that, and he recruited according to that before anybody else really caught on that, hey, maybe 25-year-olds could outperform 18-year-olds. Carson Beck was asked this week, what has it been like as a student? And he basically told the media that he ain't been in class for 2 years since he graduated at Georgia. I mean, we're in complete and utter disarray. Now, I love the U. I love the way they play. I've got friends that are fans of the U, friends whose dads played there. I enjoy the way they play, and I was very dismayed when I realized that they were going to have to play Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl for a chance to go to the national title game. I know everybody in SEC country is debating whether or not they should even watch this game. And I would tell you, I think this game is a lot more watchable than the last 2-3 years, really. The last time an SEC team was in a national championship was 2022. That was Georgia and TCU. I was there, and it was one of the least competitive. It was probably the least competitive national championship game I've ever seen in my life. It was, I think Georgia hung 60-something on TCU. And the folks that took me to that game were cousins of mine that were all TCU folks. So that was the last time the SEC was in a national title game. I haven't been interested in watching the national title game for the last 2 years simply because I am an SEC supremacist. But for some reason, I'm pretty interested in tonight's game. People gonna roll their eyes. Any Big Ten fan that ever sees this will roll their eyes at me. But, I kind of consider Miami a SEC style team, SEC style program, just based on location, vibes, if you will. The facts of the matter tonight, the spread, I think, is around 8.5 points in favor of Indiana. Their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, grew up a couple miles from Hard Rock Stadium. There's pictures of him in Miami face paint when he's a kid and all this stuff. And a lot of people in Miami, a lot of the folks down there feel like it's kind of a win-win tonight, because if the Hurricanes bring it home, it's good, and if Indiana brings it home, it looks good on their community, knowing that their Heisman quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, came from Ovar. So we got an 8.5 point spread. It opened at 7.5, moved up to 8.5. 71% of bets are on the Indiana Hoosiers. Overwhelming public support. And I don't know if this trend has changed. I remember we covered this betting trend that I'm about to mention a few months ago on the show. I wonder if it's changed or not. But earlier in the season, in college and pro, fading the public was a highly profitable thing to do. I'd be curious. Like I said, guys, I haven't said it before on this episode, but like I say all the time on every other episode, subscribe to the channel so I can hire a producer so that we can pull up these kind of things in real time. I get kind of scattered trying to pull up, is fading the public still a profitable tactic on the season, and trying to talk to y'all at the same time. So if you subscribe to the channel, that really helps us get closer to generating revenue, which gets us closer to hiring a producer of some kind, a Jamie to Joe Rogan, if you will. So everyone's on Indiana, and the contrarian in me wants to say, due to the fact that everybody's on Indiana, I want to pick Miami. I'm biased. Look, a lot of these Indiana fans over the course of the year have been very vocal against the SEC, and I take that personally. It really bugs me, along with the fact that sometimes when I was selling season tickets for the Indianapolis Colts, that people would tell me they weren't buying from me because they bought Indiana season tickets or Notre Dame season tickets. That really used to bug me as well. But it's hard to dislike Fernando Mendoza. You can tell what kind of household he was raised in. Good, proper household down there in South Florida. And, we'll see where the game goes, man. I really think it's going to come down to who's more physical. I think Curt Cignetti's incredibly smart. I don't think it takes much of any mental acuity to say that Curt Cignetti's smart, and he's going to anticipate for a physical game. He's going to have his team of all white offensive linemen ready to play a physical football game. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about Miami's defensive line, and I think part of why a lot of people aren't talking about Miami's defensive line is that you didn't really hear a lot of their names called against Ole Miss like you thought they would. Guys like Reuben Bain, you didn't hear their names called in the Fiesta Bowl. The guy on the other side, I can't remember his name, the defensive end, he was hurt for the Ole Miss game, and it was a game-time decision. So I'd imagine, I can't remember the guy's name, like I said, but I would imagine the defensive end, whatever his name is, opposite of Reuben Bain, will be playing tonight on 10, 11 days rest when he was a game-time decision, ended up being out against Ole Miss. But I think the keys to victory for the U are going to be the running game on offense, and it's going to be the front four on defense. I just haven't seen Fernando Mendoza rattled at all this year. And maybe he hadn't played a defensive front good enough. Maybe that's just the fact that Mendoza's a special guy, a special player. I'm not quite sure about that. But, look, location's going to matter tonight as well. I don't think enough people are talking about that. First team to play a home game, I believe, in the history of the College Football National Championship, BCS or playoff. I might be wrong about that. There might have been one other team. God, it took me that was a big gulp of water. So I don't know if I'm comfortable making a pick. I'm going to take Miami. I'm going to take the U. I'm rolling with the U. I think a lot of SEC countries rolling with the U, and I'm going to roll with them as well. Very well could be wrong. I say that with damn near every pick. When you get down to this point in the season, because you just don't know. You hope that every game is going to be competitive. You hope that that we're going to have fun, close, competitive games. But damn, man, I mean, if Indiana is somehow able to blow out the U, you're going to have people putting them up there with 2019 LSU. You're going to have people putting them up there with some of the other great teams in college football. If they're able to blow out the U tonight, 16-0. If they complete a blowout against Miami, they've basically blown out everybody in front of them in the playoff. They do deserve a spot in that conversation. Will I ever yield to a notion that they're the greatest college football team of all time? Absolutely not. Will I ever yield to the idea at this point that Curt Cignetti is one of the greatest college football head coaches of all time? Absolutely not. All of this has happened really fast for the Hoosiers. And like I said, we'll see how many of their fans are for real. Look, I love the state of Indiana. I lived there for a year. The sports fans there are passionate about it, but they're only passionate about it when the teams are winning. When I was with the Indianapolis Colts in 2019, that was the year that Andrew Luck retired. That was the year that we saw Indy go 7-9, didn't make the playoffs. It was a mediocre season. And there were many, many games, because I was at every single one of them. There were many, many games where I watched our fans leaving well before the game was over. I don't know what's in the water in Indiana. Again, I love the people of Indiana. I'm not throwing shade. I hope I don't sound like I'm throwing shade. But I'm seeing pictures of this Hoosier Stadium back before this program had any hype. And maybe that would be anybody's fan base. I mean, it's Indiana football. But I'm just saying, that's something I've been seeing. So, we're running limited time. We're about 20 minutes in. Let's recap the divisional round. You had two great games, and you had two games that weren't as competitive. The Bears and Rams game proved to be a great one, and the first game of the weekend, I believe. What was the first game of the weekend? It was Buffalo went down to Denver, and that one went to OT. And then the Bears-Rams went to OT. Texans absolutely got their ass kicked, and the 49ers completely got their ass kicked. I mean, that was a game that you could flip off at halftime. Yeah, again, it's the graphic I put on the thumbnail for today's episode kind of reminds me, oddly enough, of the 2016 graphic of the championship, the championship quarterbacks, the four of them. You had in 2016 it was Blake Bortles, it was Nick Foles, it was Brady, and I can't remember the last one. Maybe Case Keenum. I think that's who it was. I think the 2016 quarterback championship graphic was Case Keenum, Tom Brady, Nick Foles, and Bobby Bortles. And that's what this year's championship graphic reminds me of. You got Stafford, who's been there before, beat my Bengals. You got Darnold, who hasn't been there before. It seems after, damn near however many years he's been in the league, 6 or 7 years, that it's finally starting to work out for old Sam Darnold. I would say that the Seahawks are my favorite to win it all right now. You got Drake May, second-year quarterback on the graphic, and then you got Jarrett Stidham. And Bo Nix is right behind him in a wheelchair. Unbelievable that Denver has a performance like they had. And then the first thing after the game, euphoria for Denver, all the feelings, all the emotions, especially after a hard-fought game like that. And then Sean Payton comes up to the podium and says that Bo is done. And he broke his ankle on the second to last play of the game. I think it was the last offensive rep of the game. Absolutely unbelievable. If I had to power rank the teams right now, it would go Seattle 1, New England 2, LA 3, and Denver limping in to the AFC Championship with Jarrett Stidham. A lot of people are comparing Jarrett Stidham, or the situation rather, to Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles back 10 years ago during that season in 2016 where the backup quarterback ended up taking the Philadelphia Eagles all the way to the promised land. It's really something, man. It's really, if this is definitely the most unpredictable season of the NFL that I can remember. maybe since 10 years ago, when Blake Bortles was playing in championship weekend. Oh, Lord. But it is, look, it's nice to see quarterbacks like Sam Darnold find the right situation and prove themselves after a lot of scrutiny early in their careers. I mean, you think about where Darnold's been with the Jets, terrible. With the Panthers, he wasn't the guy. Finally starts to redeem himself in Minnesota, and then Minnesota, for whatever reason, gets rid of him. I just, if you're the GM or any executive in the rooms making those decisions for the Minnesota Vikings, how can you justify letting Sam Darnold walk in favor of J.J. McCarthy? I don't get it. I really don't get it at all. And then you got the controversial play. You had the controversial play in the Broncos Bills game there late down the stretch where Broncos DB, I can't remember his name, just straight up takes the ball from Brandon Cooks. You saw a very similar type of play occur in the Bears-Rams game. And in that game, the referees ruled it a catch on behalf of the receiver. Didn't happen that way in the Broncos-Bills game where they ruled it an interception, even though Brandon Cooks looked like he had a knee down with possession. Look, that play seemed to have cost Sean McDermott his job, and I can't even begin to describe to you guys how I'm feeling watching these formidable coaches get fired, and the Bengals head coach is still Zach Taylor. It's indescribable. You guys know how happy I'd be as a Bengals fan to have Sean McDermott as my head coach? Do you guys know how happy I'd be as a Bengals fan to have John Harbaugh? You guys know how happy I'd be as a Bengals fan to have I mean, it wouldn't happen, but, you know, could you imagine having Mike T? Could you imagine? I mean, I wouldn't be excited. I think Mike McDaniel would be a downgrade from Zach Taylor, interestingly enough. But we're going to see. Look, I'm almost to the point with the Bengals. You guys notice how I made this about the Bengals? I'm almost to the point with the Bengals where I want to take the contrarian approach. All the fans, all the media is dumping on the Bengals right now. I'm almost wanting to say that they're in their bag, and that they're going against the grain of the league. Everybody and their mother in the NFL is firing their coach right now. A third of the league, in fact, and the Bengals are just standing pat with Zach Taylor, underachieved 3 seasons in a row, grossly underachieved the last 2 seasons, disgustingly underachieved, I'd argue. And yet Zach Taylor is one of the 22 head coaches that has somehow survived this brutal coaching carousel cycle. I do believe that the cyclical nature of college football and the disarray that it currently lives in, it is definitely bleeding in to pro football. I really believe that. I think that things like social media, information flow at all-time highs, are completely affecting, media people calling for head coaches' jobs at the drop of a hat. I mean, I really believe that the college game and the insane coaching carousel that we saw kind of begin in September, October, really James Franklin getting fired from Penn State was the domino that started all of that coaching carousel craziness in college football back in September after Penn State started the season number 2 and then lost a couple bad games in a row. I think that set the standard And I don't think that it's Penn State's fault that we now have a schizophrenic coaching carousel in college and pro, but it definitely ticked the domino a little bit. And I do think the craziness of the college coaching carousel has bled into the NFL, and all of a sudden you have a head coach for the Buffalo Bills that had their team maybe one flipped play away from a conference championship berth get fired. When have we ever seen a coaching carousel like this? I'd like for people in the chat, people in the comments to tap in. When have we ever seen a coaching cycle like this in college or pro? I think the answer is never. But I could be wrong. But social media, information flow, anybody having access to being a part of the media just like we do, I think plays a really big factor in all of that. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on for the day. We've got the national championship going down here in about 27 minutes, the pinnacle of college football. I'm not the most excited about it, but I'm more excited about it than I have been in the last couple years, like when Michigan was in it. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, just I'm interested in the U. I'm interested in the Miami, I'm interested in the Indiana story. There's a lot of cool storylines around it that helps us here on the show. I don't know if there's, look, we're going to continue to advise throughout the week. We're here every single day, Monday through Friday, 6-ish Eastern. And so I'm sure we'll have more thoughts on these matters as the week progresses. But I thought it was a decent divisional round. I really would have loved to have seen a 4-for-4 on competitive games in the NFL divisional round. We ended up getting 2-for-4. I don't know what happened with CJ Stroud, man. I wonder if the guy didn't have an incredible rookie season and then got a little high on his own supply, because he's obviously chasing that season he had as a rookie. And sometimes when you have success too, I always feel like when in the NFL as a quarterback, when you have success early, that it helps accentuate your career, and it gives you momentum, and it makes you play at a level higher than you previously could have. Look at someone like Brady's career. But with Stroud, it seems to be the opposite. He got some momentum up front in his career, played really great as a rookie. And now it seems like he is struggling to even be in the same world as that level of play he showed as a rookie. So there's a lot of people wondering, including myself, whether C.J. Stroud had that great rookie season and ended up getting a little too high on his own supply and hasn't gotten any better since then, or maybe digressed since then, gotten worse since then. And I had a coach tell me all the time, you show up to practice, you either get better or you get worse. There's no in between. So it's hard to say that C.J. Stroud's gotten better since that rookie campaign of his, and I attribute that to a mentality thing, So that's all I've really got today, guys. I won't hold you much longer. We've got this game here in about 25 minutes. I'll give you some time to get ready for that. I really appreciate everybody popping in. I'm going to head to jiu-jitsu and then catch the second half of this game. But in the meantime, guys, y'all take care. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, man. We're here every day. We're dedicated. We love doing this. We'll show up whether you do or not. But I know you guys will show up. But we're going to be here. We're always going to be here. So hit that subscribe button. We're the fastest growing football channel in the land, guys. And never know how to send these off. Never know how to sign off. So I'm just going to do it.